mean, he spoke. They had a Jalen Duren day. I think he's from Delaware. He has it in Delaware or whatever. I believe if you live in Delaware, you don't pay taxes. I don't think you pay, was it state taxes? Or I think you don't pay state taxes in Delaware. Don't quote me on that. So he's pretty much broke his silence, because nobody heard nothing from him. And I think that's the smartest thing that he's done so far. And this whole thing is just not publicly say nothing, because can't nobody really attach his name to nothing. This is all speculations. It's all, stuff leaking out from the Pistons, stuff leaking out from his agent. All this is pure speculation it's what's being leaked. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know if it's the truth. We don't know if it's, half truth, full truth, no truth, all truth. You know what I'm saying? So he had Jalen Duren Day. A lot of these guys, they support each other. So we see what's happening.
Appreciate the love and support that you get from this small community in Delaware County.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Being where I grew up, this is where we used to walk right over here in this lot and grab Christmas trees. We used to sit on the step and watch the fireworks. So to now come back, have everybody out here showing love, to have the street named after me, to be able to give back to my community is what I do it for.
It had to be an exciting year for you, seeing all the fruits of your labor pay off and become an NBA All-Star, become one of the best players in the world. Just what was this last year like, you going through the league and having the success you did and setting that standard for yourself?
Just continue to grow. Like you said, setting a high standard for myself, trying to achieve the goals that I set for myself. And, I've done a little bit, but it's still a long way to go, and I got a lot better to get.
Do you appreciate the...
So, at the end of the day, he kind of answered the small little question. And I think that's the best thing he's done so far. I think that shows a lot of maturity to as much as the backlash that he's dealt with from the fans, from the playoffs. And I've been watching basketball over 30 years, believe it or not. I've seen players struggle in the playoffs and figure it out. Kobe airballing, you know what I'm saying? I've seen players develop, from Chauncey Billups being one of the greatest Colorado high school players of all time, to struggling in Boston and taking years to finally figure it out. Even in football, you see with Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, you're just not a finished product, bro. You just never know. Most of you people think your golden years when you're young is 18, 19, 20. For men, your best years of your career, the highest earning years of your career for the average man is from 45 on up to 60. You know what I'm saying? Those are considered a golden year. So you just got so much to learn. I love the maturity from him, because to be able to hold your tongue in this situation, right? Because nobody's really came out and said nothing. You don't expect an organization like the Pistons to come out and say something bad. You just don't expect it. Trajan Langdon really don't say much. Troy Weaver didn't really say much. Tom Gore's kind of stay out the way. He just, he wanted the team. He gonna allow them to do what they do. But to me, I like the way that he's handled this situation. I like the way that he handles this situation. And that's just my opinion on it. Because most time than not, it's hard to hold your tongue. And in this era, in this social media era, when people are attacking you and attacking you and attacking you, you just feel the need to have to defend yourself. Tell me I'm wrong. And he just shut the hell up. Now, his agent is somebody that's a football agent, for what I heard. So obviously there are some things where he may not know what he's doing or whatever the situation may be. So I don't know. But in general, they're going around saying this situation is getting nasty. Now, there's been some workout videos of Jalen Duren kind of working out. You take them for granted. So I remember Killian was showing, edited clips of him shooting the ball. It never really translated. And I'll say this: shooting the ball in the gym and then shooting the ball in a real game is so different. It's so different. But in general, everything tells me from his character, everything tells me that he's going to be on the up and up, bro. I kind of been in this corner in the playoffs. It's kind of frustrating, but I was like, even when we start talking about, getting Sabonis or Alperen Sengun or Gafford, Jalen Duren has the ability to do everything those guys can do and more. And I get it, you see Andre Drummond, not be the toughest soldier, out the bunch. When you see that, I get it more than most. I think y'all think that growth is just he ain't gonna get no better or nothing. I get it. But he's got better every year. He dealt with some injury issues and all that type of stuff. He's got better every year. But, just to go through this clip again, if y'all didn't see the original video I did, let's go.
About the Pistons is like, what's going to be the lingering cloud when this whole Jalen Duren situation gets finalized or at least temporarily settled? Like, is he going to sign an extension? I don't know. But this has been a awfully nasty negotiation. And so I've got real concerns there because I understand they believe Asar Thompson is their second best player, but like Jalen Duren was an all-NBA player for him last year. He was a massive factor in them winning 60 games. You can certainly criticize the playoff performance, but he was a massive factor in them winning 60 games. And, I don't know him. I don't really have a great feel for kind of his temperament or anything like that. But sometimes these negotiations, when they're ugly like this, can have consequences that aren't. Yeah.
Long lasting. And I think, and I'm not trying to give away too much here, but I think when you have negotiations like this, there's certain things that a player should not have to hear. You know what I mean? There's certain things that a player does not have to hear when the messaging comes back about why you're not getting what you believe to be your value. And those are perhaps conversations that are going to have to be had to clear the air whenever he signs his deal. Like, I don't know if he's going to take the qualifying offer. It's very rarely someone passes up $180 million guaranteed to take 9 on the thought that I'm going to go and get from insert team here. Like sometimes what with a player like that, he hears, well, Boston was going to offer me this and Sacramento was going to offer me this and team X is going to offer me close to, over $200 million if we were to work out a sign and trade. And then they get that in their head and they can't get it out. And I'm very curious for a guy who's still very young, who felt like he'd done enough in the regular season to warrant getting, quote unquote, his money, how that's going to play moving forward. He's a professional. He shows up, he works hard, all that stuff. Like nobody takes any of that away from him. I just wonder where human nature comes in after a certain point where your feelings are hurt.
And yes, he's right. Your feelings are hurt. And us as men, we're programmed to be able to get over that, though. We deal with heartbreak, failure, no. You're most likely to hear no as a little boy before a little girl is to hear a raw no. We're wired for that. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt for 2-3 days, maybe a week. You get broke up with a girl before you get rejected. We're wired before you get rejected. We're wired to move on past feelings. Nobody minds hurting the feelings of a man. Remember that. Nobody minds. Nobody cares about your feelings. But obviously 180 is the number. And that's a lot of money. Let me just put it to you. When you believe, or you have an opportunity to make $287 million, and they ask you to take $187 million pay cut, and I get where people are talking about, I know where people are talking about, like, well, he ain't worth this or he ain't worth that. But if that was you in your position and you can hit, and they told you can get 287, and you gotta take $107 million pay cut, bro, you probably like, all right, at least give me 200. At least give me the 220. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard when you look and say, oh, you ain't worth this, but or if Tyrese didn't get hurt, or if Anthony Edwards would have been eligible, if he would have been eligible for this, and if he would have they would have made him eligible, Jalen Duren wouldn't have made it. We don't live in with ifs. If was a fifth, we all be drunk. But as far as his feelings being hurt, I understand it. I really do. But we're wired as men to move past it. We wired to move past it. So they have to come up with a compromise. Either he take the qualifying offer and that is what it is, or, we come up with a shorter deal. Okay, we willing to commit 50 a year for 2 years. 2 for 2. Are you on 50 million? We'll do 50 for 2 years. And then after that, we'll talk about what you're worth after that. Or you want to do 3 years for 40, we can do that. And that's 120. Those would be my two things. Okay, we don't mind giving you 50 million for 2 years. That's not a big deal. Because next year that contract is expiring. Cool. You want your 50? Take it for 2 years. And you prove it to us that you worth that, and so be it. So, if you don't want to take the 5 years at 38, what's that? And think about it. He's what, 22 years old? How old is this brother, man? Because there's a couple strategies that he can take depending on his age. So, he'll be 23 in November. So, if you do a 5-year deal, you be 28 years old, you get another big contract right in your prime. If you were to do a 2-year deal, you be 25 years, and then you can get another big deal. So it all depends, because the CBA is about to get redone again. So if you as agent and the CBA is about to do another deal, do you really want to sign a 5-year deal? Now, if I sign 5 year for 287, I live with that. But if we can't get that, and we know that the collective bargaining agreement is up in the NBA, let's see. I think it's up at the next season. So it is. It runs through 29-30. With a mutual opt-out after 28-29. So it could be up after 28-29. So we'll say 26-27, 27-28, 28-20. Look, it's probably beneficial looking at the CBA, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's probably beneficial him sign a 3-year deal. That's probably the most beneficial thing that he can do. The most beneficial deal is to sign a 3-year deal. When your deal is up, the CBA is up, and then the new money kick in. So if you believe the CBA money is going to go up for the players, you might as well do it. You might as well just sign a 3-year deal. That way, you get the 3-year deal, you handle your business. You're 25, you're 26 years old. Then you can strike while the iron is hot. So if I'm him, I'm probably most likely signing a 3-year deal. And then once that collective bargaining agreement up, I'm lining it up with the collective bargaining agreement, and then I'm going to really cash in on that new collective bargaining agreement. But hey, what up, Dot Cash? He said, love the content. Been following for a few years. Appreciate you, Dot Entertainment. Dot Cash Entertainment. 38.40 for JD. The Pistons should be offering that, in my opinion. He said it can't be emotional like moms, no cap. Our feelings get hurt all the time. We wired for our feelings to get hurt. Dot Cash 40 at least. 38 being the lowest. He says, is that 180 for 4 or 5? That's a great question. Let me see. 180 divided by 4. 180 divided by 4 would be 45 million a year. By 5 would be 36. So if I'm a bet man, it's on the 36 side of things. It's the 5-year deal. It's a 5-year. Sign and trade. Where you gonna sign and trade them to? I mean, I'm obviously there's options. Duren is going all in about his bread. You got to, man. You need your money. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I ain't mad at him. 140 for 180 for 4 years. Then that's 45. They ain't trying to pay him that. I mean, it is what it is. Now my thing is this: if you want to shortchange him, that means you better bring in some help.